Hi everybody, and welcome back to our first video in Chapter 8. And here we're going to be taking a look at master budgeting. Master budgeting in most organizations represents quite a bit of time and effort to do. And we're going to understand here a little more as to how organizations budget and the processes that they use to create those budgets. So our basic framework of budgeting includes a detailed quantitative plan for acquiring and using financial and other resources over a specified time period. In number one here, a company's budget ordinarily covers a 1-year period corresponding to its fiscal year. Oftentimes we will add another 4 years on top of that, and that will represent our long range planning. And then in number two here, some companies may use a perpetual budget, which is a 12-month budget that continuously rolls forward. My experience has been that that's rarely done. Specific planning will be done on a rolling 12-month basis, but usually number one is what a company's going to do because it takes a tremendous amount of time to do properly. Okay, so if we choose a budget period, our operating budget is normally going to be 1-year period, corresponding again to the fiscal year of the company. Many companies divide their annual budget into 4 quarters. A continuous budget then is a 12-month budget or a rolling budget that rolls forward 1 month or 1 quarter at a time as the current month or quarter is completed, and we have some actual data to better accuratize that process. Okay, why do we do budgets? First of all, it's for planning. Planning involves developing objectives and preparing various budgets to achieve those objectives. And that's important because we want all our people to be moving towards the same goal and objectives. Also, though, control. That involves steps taken by management to increase the likelihood that the objectives established while planning are attained and that all parts of the organization are working towards that goal. Okay. So why do organizations create budgets? Here are some of the benefits. One, it defines our goals and objectives, as I previously mentioned. 2, it communicates plans. 3, it forces us to think and plan for the future. Number 4, it helps coordinate our activities. And 5, it provides a means of allocating the resources. And number 6, it uncovers potential bottlenecks. Okay, so again, from a control perspective, we're going to compare our budgets versus actual. That improves the efficiency and effectiveness of our operations and provides a basis from which we can evaluate and reward our employees that help produce those actual results. So, companies usually create budgets by relying on some combination of top-down budgeting and self-imposed budgeting. What is self-imposed budgeting? I particularly like what they're calling self-imposed budgets. I normally are going to call it a participating budget. And that's where the budget is prepared with the full cooperation and participation of management at all levels. It takes a lot longer to do that, takes a lot better planning to do that, but it's well worth it in the end because we have buy-in by our employees as to how that budget was created and that will give us a much better probability of achieving our goals. So these self-imposed or participating budgets are bottom up. Here, the supervisors, middle management, up to top management. Now, when managers throughout the organization are working collaboratively to prepare a budget, they often strive to establish challenging targets that are also highly achievable. That's a somewhat of a wish list because sometimes these same managers might sandbag, meaning they make it a little easier than challenging. So it's important that the process be supervised such that there's a minimum of sandbagging and they are truly challenging targets, not just thrown down by senior management as a challenging target, but one that they help develop. So these goals are likely to build lower level managers' confidence and commitment to the budget. Okay. Now, the advantages, number one, it shows respect for the lower level managers that are involved in the budgeting process. And I can't emphasize that more. Also, number two, the budget estimates prepared by frontline managers are often more accurate than the estimates prepared by top management. Number three, motivation is generally higher when individuals participate in setting their own goals than when the goals are simply imposed or dictated from above. And number four, it empowers them to take ownership of a budget and to be accountable for deviations from it. I remember when I was a key man council selected from our high schools to be part of the Broadway department stores sales staff. And they treated us really nicely. They took us up to Los Angeles and showed us how things were made. And but we were basically a glorified salesperson on the sales floor. Now, one day they shut the whole plant down, or the whole the store down, and brought in senior management. And they basically told me, after spending a day talking and pontificating, that our goal was a 5% increase. They didn't tell us how we were going to get 5%. They didn't ask our opinion as to how we would get to 5%. It was a total waste of time. And so that's not what you want. And that's why I like participating budgets. Now, self-imposed budgets. These self-imposed or participative budgets should be reviewed by higher levels of management to prepare budgetary slack, what I call sandbagging. Most companies do issue broad guidelines in terms of overall profits or sales, but lower level managers are directed to prepare budgets that meet those targets. Okay, so here's an overview of all the budgets. Now, sales budgets is the key. Everything drives off the sales budget. Now, my personal feeling is that if you leave sales forecasting to salespeople, they will always come in under what they really think they're going to do. That way they look better when they overachieve. That's terrible for production, who has to keep up with what they really are going to sell. So after doing it a few years, I realized the way to do that is to have the salespeople's budgets be based on how well they've, at least to some degree, how well their budgeting is done. And whether they're off $1 high or $1 low, it doesn't matter. And you'd be surprised how well those salespeople can budget when their bonus depends on that. So then once I got a sales budget, that allows the manufacturing people to do the production budget. And they need to know some ending inventory budgets, etc. Okay, then they can do their direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead budgets. And then we in accounting and sales do our own budgets for our respective operations, which are typically very easy to do. The production budget is not easy to do. That all rolls into a cash budget, and that cash budget is very important for the CFO, in my case, me, to be able to forecast our cash requirements, schedule our borrowing, and doing those kinds of things. And the better we can forecast that cash budget, the better rates of interest I can get, the better planning I can do, and I don't have this crash and burn requirements for cash on a regular basis. And then from all these budgets, we do prepare a pro forma or budgeted income statement and a pro forma or budgeted balance sheet. Okay. So, seeing the big picture. To help you see the big picture, keep in mind that the 10 schedules in the master budget are designed to answer the 10 questions shown on the next slide. Okay, 1, how much sales will we earn? 2, how much cash will we collect from our customers? 3, how many units of finished goods do we need to produce? 4, how much raw material will we need to purchase? Number 5, how much conversion cost, you'll remember that's direct labor and manufacturing overhead, will we incur? Number 6, how much cash will we pay to our suppliers and our direct laborers? And how much will we pay for manufacturing overhead resources? Number 7, how much selling and administrative expense will we incur? And how much cash will we pay related to those expenses? And number 8, how will our cash budget balance and financing needs change? And number 9, how much net income will we earn? And number 10, what will our balance sheet look like at the end of the budget period? Quite a few questions. Okay, so the master budget provides answers on that. A master budget is based, of course, on various estimates and assumptions. For example, the budget requires 3 basic estimates and assumptions. Number 1, what are the budgeted unit sales? Number 2, what is the budgeted selling price or prices per unit? Number 3, what percentage of accounts receivable will be collected in the current and subsequent period? Here we're trying to forecast cash. Okay, to know me is to know I am very big on utilizing Microsoft Excel, and hopefully you will develop those skills and take some training in that area, because it's a very highly prized skill in the business world. So here's our budgeting worksheet. And when Microsoft Excel is used to create a master budget, these types of assumptions can be depicted in a budget assumptions tab, thereby enabling Excel-based budgets to answer what-if questions. Okay. Now we're going to take a look at preparing the sales budget, including the schedule of expected cash collections. This looks like a good place for us to stop this video, and when we return, we'll take a look at this budgeting example. Until that time, bye for now.